Hello everyone. So the today's topic for in-service training presentation is cross-contamination. So we all are aware about what cross-contamination is. So let's get a background around why is cross-contamination needed. So it was reported back in US where there was a highly infectious salmonella range which caused a large outbreak. So this case occurred in US when there was a food truck which was being supplied, carrying chocolate bars was being supplied to its destination, and it was not allowed to enter because at the testing spot, when at the receiving point, among chocolate bars, there was a salmonella raisin, uh, salmonella raisin chocolate. It was totally wasted, uh, one bar. So they did not let it enter inside. So why was it so occurred, produced, and were barred from entering? So this created an even huge loss. So this when the all the ingredients when the batch was being prepared, they were tested to be negative for salmonella while preparing. But this was a result of cross contamination. So then when all the investigations were done and it was analyzed, so they came to know that 7 weeks prior in a fish meal in the same industry, it was infected with a salmonella raisin, and so that might be the cause. After through investigation they found that might be the cause of cross contamination and it occurred, and so it was found out to be in the chocolate bars. So why do we require in-service training and introduction? So first of all, what is cross contamination? It is a result of unintended presence of harmful substances or microorganisms in food which are transferred due to some source of contamination. There are several sources of contamination such as physical contamination, biological contamination, chemical contamination, there's food to food contamination, in person. There are various types of contamination. So this basically results contamination is due to unclean hands and poor hygiene if people do not follow proper hygiene. And mostly cross contamination occurs due to improperly clean and sanitized, such as utensils and equipments which you are using. You only clean it, you do not sanitize it properly. So there tends to be contamination and cross contamination. Other than this, there are such as standing or dripping water. It could also happen due to improperly stored food and chemicals. And so, in-service training is provided. So the in-service training was provided so that they so that they could prevent cross contamination. So there were some tips which were provided. It was in they should always remember to store cooked and raw food separately because raw foods they might definitely contain some kind of microorganisms or germs which can be transferred to cooked foods. So it's better to keep both these things far away from each other. Use good personal hygiene. To teach employees to wash hands properly whenever they use restrooms, or whenever before handling any kind of raw foods or cooked foods, and they should keep washing their hands constantly. They should also learn when to replace and use clean and sanitized equipment and utensils. So if there's some utensil which they're using and if it is exposed too much in the outside or it's kept in public, so it should be clean and sanitized properly. There should be proper storage of foods, such as what we learned in train can, how, where, in what meat freezer, in what sections, which food should be placed. Apart from that, what was taught is do not let raw meat and raw vegetables. If you are preparing something like if you are preparing a chicken curry or a meat curry, so do not let raw meat and raw vegetables be prepared on the same surface. Keep these both ingredients on different surfaces. Use separate cutting boards for different foods, such as for meat, use separate board, for vegetables use separate board. Clean and sanitize equipments, work surfaces, and utensils after preparing each foods. Even though may be harmful, may not be harmful, but make sure to clean and sanitize. Also make sure that whatever wipes and paper towels used for wiping spills are not used for any other purposes. So what were the things learned after the in-service training was provided? Things which we learned is to prevent contamination of ready-to-eat and cooked foods. Other than this, it is keeping surface clean from potential contaminants. Also, what was taught is replacing and storing clean and sanitized equipment and utensils, and was learned ki, in order to when should you replace, when should you clean utensils, and what all should be clean. And because and the main message what we take from this is avoid all kinds of carelessness, because even a small mistake can use to huge losses, which occurred to the US food industry. Just a small cross contamination, and the whole batch occurred a huge and the whole batch was wasted, which occurred a huge loss to the company. So the what they learned was using same utensil after cleaning to cut meat will prevent contamination. Is yes, definitely cut meat will prevent contamination. No, no, sorry. Sorry, I'm so sorry. So if you use same utensil after cleaning to cut meat, will not prevent contamination, because only cleaning will not help. You need to sanitize it as well. And how often should utensils be replaced after using at room temperature? So generally, it is said that you should replace utensils, or you should cover them up. But after every 4 hours, if it is displayed in public, it needs to be clean and sanitized. So conclusion, so cross contamination is a serious problem in food industry, and it affects most setups. So necessary precautions needs to be taken, such as washing hands, maintaining proper hygiene, wearing gloves, keeping utensils clean, person to person, less of person to person contact, so that there's not much of microorganism transfer, and also using different utensils for different kinds of food, and preparing different foods in different areas, not mixing up. And sanitation is an important process, as it is to be followed regularly in all kinds of setup. Even if you find the place clean, there are certain bacteria and microorganisms which might be present, and it may not be visible to naked eye. So all these precautions need to be taken. These are the references, and thank you so much.